Hi everybody, and welcome to our final series of Take 5, where we put the man himself in the hot seat this time, having a chat on overseas lending. And of course this is Stewart Mitchell from Loan Market, the man who knows everything about money. So nice to have you here. How do you feel in the seat?
Yeah, great, Richie. It's switcheroo here, isn't it?
It is.
To last week, mate.
Very good. Well, I'll tell you what, we'll kick it off with quite a big question coming up. Has the suspension of the Reserve Bank loan-to-value ratios, the LVR as we know it, had any impact on the potential of overseas investors?
Okay, well, look, yes, in short, it has. So, for those that maybe don't realise, is that the Reserve Bank have had rules around investors and minimum deposits required for probably around 5 years now. Whether you're a Kiwi living in New Zealand or overseas, to purchase an existing property, you had to have a minimum of 30% deposit. Now the Reserve Bank have suspended those rules, not removed them completely, suspended. The banks have the ability to lend with less than 30% deposit. Not all lenders have followed that. There's several that have. So in principle, you can now lend and purchase with a minimum of a 20% deposit in New Zealand. To be honest with you though, I must caveat that with given they are overseas investors,
yes,
they do like to see probably 30% plus, but case by case basis. It is in policy now with some of our lenders on the panel. With 20%, you can lend today.
So to lend money in New Zealand, what else do we need to consider?
So it's a bit of a puzzle there with probably about 5 key components, and all 5 must be met. So something that's important is property type and location of property. Depending on what you're purchasing and where it is, can have an impact on whether a lender is or is not interested. And something else to think about is whether you're employed or self-employed. So believe it or not, some lenders will not lend to people on self-employed income, regardless of how strong those financials are. Then you've got to look at income threshold. So when you're overseas, banks do like to see stronger applications. So usually somebody within that household is earning around 250,000 New Zealand dollars plus per year. And then when you think about the fourth component as to why that income needs to be so strong, is that these banks, depending on your overseas currency, will scale that income back, your net income, by 10 to 40%. Significant impact. That's why they like to see a bigger range of income. And the final piece, which is arguably the most frustrating, AML and bank accounts. You know, we've had deals fall over because every box has been ticked, but we haven't been able to set up a bank account here in New Zealand. So obviously, given the COVID environment, it can be potentially a bit more difficult. And this is where we're going to navigate you and understand everything at the start, because some banks we can do remotely. Some banks you can go to an affiliated branch wherever you are in the world. Others will expect you to present yourself physically here, which is obviously very difficult at the moment. And then we deal with other types of lenders, only slightly more expensive, just over 3% interest rate, that don't offer banking facilities. So we can get a loan with them without a bank account, but you still will need to have a bank account in New Zealand. But there's lenders out there such as, say, HSBC, that you could set up a banking facility with them. That ticks the box, the deal works, and you can lend money.
It all sounds pretty positive, really, and I suppose the good thing that's popped out, I suppose, of this pandemic is the ability to work remotely and to be able to get things across the line in regards to, setting up a bank account without actually being in New Zealand. Because I know previously I've heard a few stories about that. It's just people flying over, isn't it?
Yeah, entirely. And look, it's quite interesting that so some of the lenders there that know you've got to physically present yourself here, yet if they earn enough or the deal's strong enough, they don't. So look, it really is case by case, but one way or another, if you are lendable too, generally we can navigate you through that process, and that's the key word, navigate. Okay then, so I'm going to take over again now, Richie. Great job with the hosting there, and just want to say thank you for everybody that's joined this series. Hopefully you've found it interesting. We've tried to keep it concise because there is a lot of information there. You've got all our contact details, so feel free to reach out to the relevant experts, and we'll look forward to catching up with you soon.